Good morning, everybody. I'm Daryl Steinberg. I'm the mayor of Sacramento, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live here early on a Monday morning. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce Sean Loloee, who is, for one more day, the council member elect for District 2. For a wide-ranging conversation over the next half hour, 40 minutes, as I welcome City Councilman-Elect Loloee as my new colleague and as the City Council member. Welcome to you, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. And as you said, tomorrow the whole aspect of this title is going to change. And I guess today is the last freebie, I guess.
The last freebie, that's right. Well, you know what? Even when you get sworn in, we're going to help you get started and ease into this. And I know you're going to do a great job. So let me start with this. Tomorrow you get sworn in, and as I said to your colleague, Katie Valenzuela on Friday, I actually feel bad that because of COVID, you don't get to celebrate with family and friends in person and have a lot of people in the chambers as you deserve when you have won election to public office. So how are you going to make tomorrow memorable and meaningful?
Well, I think obviously just the whole process of being part of this wonderful team that's going to be in charge of making the residents' lives easier, it's an honor enough by itself. The ceremony, obviously, it's very personal. It's once in a lifetime, or maybe the very first time. That's why before even tomorrow, I would like to ask yourself that we should have a redo when the COVID-19 is over with. That the three of us, and we briefly talked about it a couple of days ago, we're requesting a redo, that we can come in back to the chambers and do it again, so we can have that memorable pictures and what have you. But the exciting part is, I think the memories and what we can really look back and be proud of is the accomplishments that we can achieve while being in those seats. That's what we ran for these seats, and that's the exciting part of it.
It sure is. Well, I say yes to your request. I think that's a great idea. We will have the formal ceremonies tomorrow, and then when we can gather again, we'll do it a second time for sure.
Thank you.
So let's, there are people maybe tuning in who didn't follow the District 2 race and maybe don't know you. You have a very interesting, fascinating background. You immigrated from Iran as a teenager. Tell the people watching just a little bit about your life story.
Sure. I was, you're absolutely right. I was born in Iran and came to this country at the end of the 80s. And that was a process by itself. For many people that don't know, Iran is a country in the Middle East that went through a massive revolution in 1979, and the country really changed from being very moderate, very progressive, to a severe dictatorship and religious-based guidelines. Coming to this country was really a blessing. I have a lot of love for this country, simply because, you always hear about U.S., the land of opportunity. Well, I've experienced it. We went through the process and we had the opportunities, and I was blessed enough to be able to take some advantage of some of those opportunities regarding education, business, and making myself a better person. And here we are today.
So you came to this country, and at age 25, you opened your first grocery store in Los Angeles. Talk about the evolution of your business and how it led you to Sacramento, specifically to North Sacramento.
Sure. So, being an immigrant, especially from a country like Iran, that education is the number one thing on every parent's mind for their kids. My objective was medical school, so did the whole, got the degrees, did the MCATs, got accepted to medical school, and I decided that that summer to do some business activities. And I just fell in love with the world of business and interacting with customers, interacting with public. And I decided that the field of medicine was not my calling and business was. Obviously, my father at that time was not too happy about this decision. But through time, I think he noticed that I was very committed and I wanted to do something that I enjoy, and working hard at it didn't bother me at all. So his thought changed through time, that I was capable of making my own decisions, and that I was thinking about the future more than today. And I opened the first store in Los Angeles, and we turned that into multiple locations. I sold those stores, and at that time, our ex-governor Jerry Brown was the mayor of city of Oakland, and they wanted to open a particular store in Oakland, and for the last 20 years they couldn't find an operator. So when they reached out to the two largest wholesaler in California, my name and a few others kind of popped up as individuals that might be interested in opening a store in communities that the chain stores and national names have kind of vacated and left. So I received a call from him. He invited me to visit Oakland, and the irony to this was I did not know where Oakland was. So I had to ask. But flew out to Oakland, spent a whole day with him. He showed me the area, and really, I asked him if I can just stay for 2 days, and I did. I asked him for about a week before I can respond to him. But those 2 days, I just literally walked around the community and the neighborhood, introduced myself to the neighbors, and kind of heard what's missing in their community. And a full-on grocery store was on top of everybody's list. So I reached out to Mayor Brown at the time, and I said, I'd be honored and excited to get this project going, and we did, and the project was a success. Almost every newspaper from Sacramento Bee to San Jose Mercury did a full story on the store and how we came to an environment that was maybe low income, high in crime, yet we put a full supermarket in there, and the community just embraced it. And I had such a great relationship with the community, and it was great. And then all of a sudden, we received a call from some developers in Sacramento saying, "Hey, we have similar areas like you open your store in Oakland, would you be interested?" And that kind of was the pathway to come to the city of Sacramento and try to do the same thing for the communities that we went into.
So you are a business person, and you have built businesses in grocery stores. You get to Sacramento, you move to Sacramento, and you decide to get involved in the community and make this monumental decision to run for public office.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that, if you would. How did you come to that decision?
It was a very tough decision. It took me almost 6 months to decide on this run, because I've always been on the sideline, rooting or endorsing an individual and promoting a cause and moving forward. In this particular occasion, I was approached by some of the community leaders that well, let me step back. I started complaining a lot about things that were missing in our community. And really, the youth was the one that got my attention, that in our district, we have some phenomenal kids, very bright, very active, but yet they don't have the same opportunities as some of the other areas. And that started kind of bothering me. So I started complaining quite a bit, and then I was approached by some of the community leaders and said, instead of constantly complaining, why don't you do something about it? And I asked them, I said, well, what do you have in mind? They said, run for the seat. So never thought about it. It took me about 6 months, and then I decided that it's a challenge that I would love to accept and try to take the seat and do something very positive, and in a combination with working with the community and change and bring change to our district. And that's where we are today. We need change, and that's what I'm hoping to bring in.
Well, that's where I want to spend the majority of our time together today. As you begin this new chapter of your life in public service representing District 2, talk about what you want to do and what you want to accomplish for the people that you are about to represent.
Sure. And I think what happened, and this is where, and I'm glad I took this road. During the primary, I myself walked and knocked on about 5,000 to 6,000 doors, where I introduced myself and heard what the issues were. During the general election, I did the same thing, and I knocked on approximately 5,000 doors. Again, just hearing back from the residents what the issues were. And the number one issue was obviously the homelessness crisis that we're going through. Number two was youth. And those two were really major on my list as well. And my hope is that we can make some changes and move forward on fixing these two issues, not only within District 2, but citywide.
So let's start with District 2. What approach will you take, maybe, that has been different from approaches not just from your predecessor in District 2, but throughout the city, that will, based on your own life experience and based upon your business experience, that you think will make a greater difference? Say when it comes to, let's break it down: economic development in District 2, youth, and homelessness. Let's start with economic development. How do you want to approach that in North Sacramento?
So I think the biggest thing that I would like to approach all of these topics is being 100% transparent and get the community involved with the decision making and share all the information with them. So when we talk economic development, we have to get the community involved on what we're doing and what businesses we're encouraging to come into our community, to make sure that all those businesses get the proper support from our community. So being engaged with them is something that's huge, and I think it's something that has literally lacked for the last 8 to 10 years on getting everybody involved, sharing what we want to do and getting feedback, and then coming back to the council and voting on something that also has the community engaged, versus all the deals happening behind closed doors, and then once they're completed, now we're making an announcement.
And Sean, let me just interrupt for a second. And I think it's interesting for people to know and to think about how you go about going about organizing your community and creating that constant communication. Is it virtual? Is it community Zoom meetings? Is it one-on-one phone calls? Is it walking when you can walk post-COVID to knock on doors again?
So sure, and I thank you for bringing that up. I think it's, I think community Zooming and setting up community meetings via Zoom is very important. But at the same time, one of the commitments I made during my race was that I will make sure to meet with a representative of every association once a month via Zoom. And the associations are phenomenal in our district. They're very active. They're boots on the ground. So who better to meet and find out what the issues are with this areas of our district. So what I've asked them is that we're going to meet once a month, and I would like for them to bring, their top 3 issues within a particular community, because District 2 is also one of the most diverse districts in city of Sacramento. We have some great neighborhoods, we have great neighbors, but at the same time, diversity does exist. So what might be a problem on one side of the district is not necessarily a problem on the other side of the district. So we have to listen to see what the issues are and come back with answers. Now, certain things we can fix immediately, certain things will take longer, and certain things are just not attainable at this time. But I think having that communication and making individuals or these associations involved, and which makes the residents involved, that's going to be the greatest step for now we're going to take within our district.
So that's, I think, a really necessary start. But I want to hear a little bit about your actual substantive vision for economic inclusion and economic development in North Sacramento. What do you want to see? What are the people telling you they want to see along Del Paso Boulevard? Is one example, but I know it's only one example.
So we definitely want to invite businesses to come to our community. We want to make it, we want to make the process much simpler, and we want to invite family-owned businesses to come to our community to get that support. At the same time, our community needs some of the basic necessities. We have regional libraries, but we do not have a main library in our district. And that's, or a main learning center in our district. I think these are some of the things that we're definitely going to work with our community to see if we can establish within my time as their representative. We need to bring more housing into our community. Our district, unlike some of the other districts, affordable housing is not the number one issue in our district. Lack of housing is the number one issue in our district. Housing is somewhat very affordable in our district compared to the rest of the city. We just need to create more rooftops. I've reached out to some of the developers that I know, inviting them to come and see District 2 and see if they have a vision that we can turn around and share that with the community and see if everybody is on the same page. Then so I can bring that back to the council and share it with my colleagues. So these are some of the things that we have to accomplish as soon as possible.
Okay, let's move to homelessness, because you've identified that as the number one issue and challenge that you face in District 2. And certainly that is the case, as you know, throughout our entire city. You've watched some of what I and we have tried to do with some success to have a comprehensive shelter strategy to help bring people indoors, to try to launch an affordable housing trust fund so that we can help people bridge from shelter to a longer term and permanent housing. What do you see from a distance as you are about to take office, and what do you want to do around homelessness?
As you indicated, I think homelessness is the number one topic in our city. When I talk to my colleagues, it seems like that's their issue as well. And I don't think housing is our only issue that's resulting in homelessness. I think we have to really, this is a multi-layer issue, definitely housing being there, but I think substance abuse and mental illness play a very important role in that as well. And unless we can partner up with some of our local rehabs or hospitals, I just don't find an easy solution to this. So it has to kind of be kind of happening all at the same time. But your message last week, I think that's one way to attack this right away. Try to create areas where we can ask this community to move to, so we can better take care of or control and create the resources that they need. And then from these smaller camps, try to find out exactly who needs what, whether it's, a substance abuse where we can have rehabs available, or, a mental issue where we can partner up with some of these hospitals. But we have to find out, really, we need the data that shows exactly how many homeless we have, how is it being triggered, and create a solution. And bringing county into the picture as well, and working together with county to create shelters and maybe utilize some of the buildings that are owned by the county or city that we're not using currently, and turn those into immediate shelters.
Sure.
Building from ground up, again, looking at data, is it cost efficient, or is it more efficient to look at existing buildings and turning those into a facility?
So you referenced my message of last week, which I appreciate, which is the idea that what we need to do in these first months, especially with a new city council and with members who have clearly articulated that homelessness must be a priority, is that instead of approaching this project by project, we have to do the hard work to develop an actual master siting plan, a master operations plan, a master financial plan, so that once we cast that hard up or down vote that says this is where we are going to build various housing, shelter, even sanctioned camping facilities, that we are going to go forward with implementation as opposed to arguing again and again about individual sites and individual projects. I'm not putting you on the spot here, but maybe a little bit. You support that approach?
I think as of right now, yes, we have to, right? Because in the past, just talking about it has not fixed anything. And that's what I'm hoping that starting, in January, that we recognize this as an issue and we have to act on it. I think the time of just discussing, having a conversation about it, yes, no, not in my district, not on your district. I think we recognize this is a major problem. And I'm the first one to acknowledge that I am 100% myself against campsites or tiny homes. However, listening to you, we have to start somewhere in order to be creating more of a permanent housing for these human beings, right? So by creating certain areas within a district that is acceptable to the residents, and I believe I have not come across a single resident that says, no, just get them out of here, right? What I hear is, hey, if they're gonna be 200 feet away from my house, and I'm seeing drug use, and I'm seeing, some mental issue, I don't feel safe, or I don't feel safe for my children to go outside. And I think what you proposed will definitely fix that. And that's creating an environment where we can invite these individuals, this community, to kind of be stationary, and we can provide the services that they need within these encampments. And simultaneously, we have to work on more of a permanent shelter, and we have to cut through the bureaucratic or the red tapes that majority of the time we're faced with, and we need to become a lot faster. Right now, if you call 211 and you're talking about, some kind of a housing, I think there's a 90-day wait. Well, it is 90 days, you become homeless already. Now what?
Of course.
Right? So we have to see what needs to be done for these things to happen a lot faster. And I'm very excited that when I've talked to my soon-to-be colleagues, we all on agreement on this, that we have to think outside the box and get things done.
So you said something interesting in your answer about your conversations with residents, where not a single one has said, get this away from me, as opposed to let's fix it together. I'm paraphrasing what you said. Do you think that not in my backyard phenomena is overrated? Is it still present? what are you going to do when you face the inevitable conflict in your district where there's an appropriate site, but some residents don't want it?
Sure. So I think, again, my way of approaching this is showing all the sites that are available and kind of reducing it to what's practical, right? And the residents, as long as I think we present them with a temporary solution and assure them that we're going to make sure that we maintain this place, safety, sanitary, and all that goes with it. I think a lot, I would be very surprised if there is a massive fight back. But when we just kind of create a space and say, here you go, and then announce it,
right?
I think that's when people get a little bit concerned that why didn't we go and approach them? Because again, this is a very tough topic, right? We have to help the homeless community. That's the right thing to do. But at the same time, we have to protect our local businesses and property homeowners that are paying taxes. So this is a very, very sensitive topic. We can't take one's right to add, rights to another group. I think if we have a good open conversation with the community and pick intelligent sites, that we will get the support. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Let's talk about youth for a moment, because you mentioned that as one of your key priorities. So much of these issues, I'll put it in a larger construct, right? A larger context. One of the things that you will face as soon as you get here in these first months is grappling with the various choices we have to make when passing a city budget. As you look at the city's budget, and as I'm sure you've studied it and where the money currently goes, how do we get more money to youth and to youth programs and youth investments?
I think number one, I think our budget needs to be a lot more efficient. And we need to spend money on areas that data shows that it has worked. And question areas that we have spent money, but there's no data or no supporting data. And yet we're ready to spend more money on whether it's that same organization or the same activity. But at the end of the day, the residents, especially the youth, comes first because they are the future. And we have to get them more involved and create a seat at the table for them so they can have a say-so. I mean, if you look at what has happened in our district in the last 3 to 4 weeks, we had the shooting at Arden Mall, which is in District 2. There was another shooting a few days after that in District 2. And we have to kind of look at that and take a few steps back and make the right decisions and create and make sure there's money available that we can spend on our youth and make sure they're safe and then make sure they're engaged. And obviously COVID-19 is not helping that situation. Distance learning is not helping that situation. Kids right now, especially with COVID-19 and not going to school, there are some issues that we're going to be faced as far as depression or some other psychiatric evaluations that they're talking about it already, that teen depression is going to be very big. And unless we create even additional funding to fight these things, I can't see us spending money on anything else as of right now, unless we have figured out how we can protect our youth.
We spent a significant amount of the one-time federal CARES money on youth and on mental health and on workforce. And the challenge here is, one, to hope for another federal stimulus, of course, but then to think about how do we replicate what we did during the CARES debate around the budget and make that an ongoing part of what we do as a city. Let me close with sort of this set of issues. You strike me in our conversations, and we've had the privilege of meeting now several times, as somebody who is very driven, who is very committed, and also humble, right? You know what you don't know, and are willing to learn. And I think that is going to serve you very, very well. You have been a business person, and now you are entering into government and into politics and city hall and this new thing. What is it that um, you look forward to learning, and to figuring out that you currently don't know as you start this new chapter?
I think the patience and the waiting period is something that I need to kind of learn, and obviously certain policies that I need to definitely study more and understand it better. But my major concern is when you come from a business sector, things have a tendency of happening immediately. Where now it's a public sector, so I need to understand that things take a longer time. But as you indicated, I am one of those guys that I'm always a student. Even within my business world, I always say I'm always a student. So I try to surround myself with individuals that have more knowledge than I do, so I can learn. And the time that I stop and say I know it all, that's a topic that I have absolutely no clue about, and I need to do more research on that. So, but I'm really looking forward to working with my colleagues, bringing some fresh and new ideas to the table, and just sharing it with them, with the start, middle, and end, and doing some of the legwork to get us to where we want to go. And this homelessness issue is a huge topic for all of us. And my ultimate goal is for city of Sacramento to come up with a blueprint that other cities are going to travel to our city and learn, versus us going to look at other cities.
Right.
That's my goal. And when I've talked to my colleagues, that's my envision, and that's what I want to accomplish, to make Sacramento a blueprint for how we handle our youth, how we handle our homeless situation, how we handle our businesses, so we can create this ecosystem that works together and makes Sacramento moving forward in a positive direction.
So here's the good news. You don't have to know everything or know the answer to everything.
I've been have you. So anytime I don't have an answer, I know I'm just going to call you.
Well, you can always call me, but let me tell you, after 24 years of doing this in various forms, I still have a lot of questions, and that's just the nature of it. But really, the key to it is to just work really hard, to be driven by goals and purpose, which you are, and to go out of your way to listen as much as you talk, and to work well with your colleagues and the city staff. You do that, you are practically guaranteed to be a success. And I know that's going to be the case with you, Sean, and I am really looking forward to working with you, to welcome you tomorrow, and to get to work on behalf of a district that really needs a lot of attention and a lot of help. And we'll partner in any and every way that I can be of help to you and your constituents. Any final thoughts?
Again, it's an honor to be part of this organization. It's an honor to be on this live feed right now with you. All I can say is that I look at my position as being the servant of the residents of District 2. So I am their voice in the City Hall, and I'm going to practice that every day, every minute, and every second. And the goal is to represent my district, to work with my colleagues, and together make all of our districts flourish and make Sacramento the exciting city that it is under your leadership. So I am very excited. I'm very pumped, I guess, to bring new ideas, to make changes, and push them through. And I can tell you that this past few weeks, I've met some of the current council members, and I've had conversations with my soon-to-be colleagues, Council Member-Elect Katie and we're very excited about what's holding up. But we also recognize the challenge, right? Because right now we're talking about the current homelessness crisis, but at the same time, there's another wave that's coming up with this COVID-19, with closure of businesses, and majority of these businesses being family-owned businesses. And how is this going to affect that group of people that now they're borderline of losing everything? So now we have actually two chapters that we got to cover. One, to make sure that, our current homeowners or what have you do not lose everything because of COVID, and also try to help the ones that are out on the street. So we have our challenges ahead of us, but I feel very good, and I feel very confident that under your leadership and with this with the new group, and also the experience that the current members have, we can definitely tackle these and make sure they don't get out of our hands.
Very, very good. You are ready to go, and we have so many other topics to cover: citywide economic development, the other parts of the city. But we will save that for another time. Maybe we can do this regularly, because I think it's good for the public to see. This is one form of transparency, and I really enjoyed it. So, for the last time, Councilmember-Elect Sean Loloee, you will get rid of that elect part of the title tomorrow. I wish you all the best and look forward to seeing you virtually tomorrow.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to carry that title on behalf of the residents of District 2.
Take care, friend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir.